Hi, friends! Happy Monday! It's the Dungeon Cooldown.
Hooray.
Hi, it's me, Morgan Peter Brown, joined by my good friend and dungeon master, Jared Kajak.
Gerard. It is Gerard today.
Gerard the Kajak.
Yeah.
Gerard.
I've been looking up a bunch of cool places to go wine tasting in France.
That's
so.
right. Jared and Adam are heading to France soon. Yeah. Hi.
We might not come back.
Don't say that. Don't say that. That's why we had 2 DMs. We might lose Jared to Europe. No, just kidding. No. So Uncle CW.
My wife would hunt me down.
yeah, right. Exactly. No, wait a minute. It's so good to see you folks in chat, though. Goofus McDorkle dropping 20 tier 2 gift subs. Goofus, you are a legend. It is still September. That's right. It is still September for a few more days. So that means you can get up to 30% off on gifting subs and your subscriptions. So please take advantage of that. We get so much fun stuff. But yeah, we got a lot to talk about here on the Cooldown. We got some of your questions. I've got some questions for Jared myself. Maybe he has some questions for me. We'll see. But throw some stuff in chat if you see it. Osu, thank you so much for your sub.
What's your favorite wine, Morgan? That's my question.
I'm a cab and zin guy. I like red zins or just zin, so I like a fruitier, not too sweet, but I do like to taste the fruit of a zin or something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you've ever have Frank family wines, the Frank family zin is actually really, really good.
I don't think so. Where are they? What region? Boy, we're getting fancy right off the bat.
It's Napa.
Oh, okay,
it's
cool.
Napa.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with Paso Robles also. Paso Robles has a lot of great stuff up there, not far from here.
True.
Yeah, but yeah, diving right into the fancy stuff. By the way, once again, congratulations to Ron Ogden and his now beautiful wife Heather. Welcome to the family.
Hooray!
Heather. You've been a member of the family for a while. We know and love you, but now you're officially. We made it official. Good job, Ron. They were married yesterday. Drew from IT says Pinot Noir. But yeah, they had a wonderful wedding. We're so happy for them. Ron will be back on the show on Wednesday. I don't know how he's managing that, but he says it's going to happen. So
we're actually having a chat tonight about planning this Wednesday's game.
Very nice. Yeah, but there's a lot of big stuff happening within the Dungeon Run family around this time. Katie had a baby. Ron's getting married. Adam's getting married in a little while. That's a few months away, but yeah, we've got a lovely family group thing going on. It's great. Hey, Bubblegummy, it's good to see you. Artemis Dixon says Ron's going to be the next to have a kid. Slow down, Artemis.
I mean, that could be true.
Could happen. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not my business.
We all know at the beginning of each season we have to have a child born.
That's right. That's right.
That's
so Ron needs to wait for campaign 3 to start, is what we're saying. But yeah, man, so this Wednesday is episode 10 already. We're already hitting milestones with episode 10. Wow. I can't believe it, right? It's been quite a roller coaster ride from the beginning, so it's kind of time has been flying. Artemis Dixon, a race between Adam and Ron to procreate. Oh boy, Artemis, now you're getting weird. Now we're getting weird.
It.
No, we're not going to be genetically engineering Dungeon Run of new players in the future. But yeah,
that's how we're growing our fan base, one person at a time.
Correct. That's actually, wait a minute. No, we have a Patreon question about this, which actually very strangely leads quite nicely into this, because it's a question about being family friendly, right?
Ah, yes.
Haha.
Matthew Sutton. Great to meet you and follow your story. I joined a few weeks ago. Awesome. Welcome.
Yeah.
And have been enjoying it so much. I love the tone of the show and finding the way to be family friendly and very entertaining for adults and younger ones.
Thanks.
Could you please talk about what led you to those decisions for your performance and what you hope your audience receives from those decisions?
I mean, I'll be honest. It's a good question. We've it's been a part of the show since the beginning. It was it scared us all from day one. I mean, I certainly was like, oh boy, I don't know. I mean, it's difficult, but once we sort of took it out for a spin, we were like, oh, this isn't that hard. It's not. The quick answer of why is sort of like, one, we see it as a thing that's not that difficult to do when you're the way we tell our story and the types of stories we want to tell. And so it's literally just language, you know, and like watching our language a little bit and watching a couple things like that. And I think what it offers and helps with, you know, the number of times we've heard the fact that I can actually watch your D&D show with my kids and actually introduce D&D with my kids is some of the favorite stuff we've ever heard. I mean, you know, and so the fact that people's kids have become fans of the show along with them is amazing. And the truth is, it's not that I don't go in trying to. Drew from IT says we can have all the violence we want.
In the U.S.
In the U.S., yeah. I don't go in trying to form my character that way. The secret, like when we brought in Serena and Carrie and Adam, we're like, it's family friendly, but honestly, all that means is you can still go as deep and dark as you want. Mostly, it's just we really pull away from like truly like intense stuff like, you know, familial violence or sexual violence or anything like that. It's like, yeah, we try not to, but I mean, but those same kind of themes, you can still play with that. You know, we can play with, we've played with depression, we've played with addiction, we've played like we've dealt with some very dark stuff, all still through the lens of PG-13 or whatever you want to call it. And I had discovered that family friendly can mean a lot of things, while still keeping it mature, which I think we do an excellent job of walking that line of mature but still family friendly. And I think that's the key to being enjoyable for both adults and for kids. Because
March Thornhill, there's lots of cooties. In fact,
so many.
In
cooties.
fact, that's the main theme of
campaign
the current campaign is cooties.
The BBEG is cooties.
Yeah,
I'll say, yeah, it's less swearing and less detailed explanations of the gruesomeness. Oh boy, though, I don't know. Jeff back in the day and Jared now. What just happened? Oh, no, what? Oh God, the body horror scene with the bug in Saint's arm this week was, we were all in. Whoa, that was freaking us all out. For
knives are always much more intimate than swords or spears or axes, and that's because everyone has cut themselves on a knife, or on scissors or what have you. So you have that visceral reaction.
Yeah,
but with a sword or a spear or an axe, not very many of us have that experience. So it almost heightens it to a place of fantasy when you skewer somebody with a spear. But if you take someone's arm and slowly begin to dissect it and cut it apart, everyone can imagine that.
Yeah, we talk about that. I talk about that with horror films sometimes too, where it's like how quickly something can leave your scope of relatability. You know, if you watch if you watch someone, like get decapitated, you might go, oh my gosh, you know, or something like that. But that normally doesn't tend to scare or freak people out as much as like something to do with your fingernails or teeth, people are like, nope, because your relatability of how much that could happen or what that might feel like is so strong. I've watched entire crowds of people, as I described. It's like, well, when you talk about like decapitation versus someone starting to pull out your fingernails, and I watch the entire audience go, no. You're like, exactly, see. Thank you, Fail Waffle, appreciate it. Yeah, we try. I mean, and it's not it's not we do try to let people know that's like, it's not as hard as it looks sometimes. And I still find I tend to be able to go as deep and as personal and as dark or sentimental or what do you call it? Just like existential as I want to get, and then trusting that the people who will get it, and then the rest will just enjoy the adventure. I think our show can be enjoyed on many levels in that way. But yes, so episode 10 is on Wednesday. And so I think, one of the things that we wanted to talk about here today was just talking about, like, what are our biggest impressions of the new story so far, and like what are the biggest surprises? What are your biggest surprises as the new co-DM? Like, what are you most looking forward to that you can say, of course? What do you I mean, we're 9 episodes in. What do you think? How you feeling, Jared?
I feel good. Ron and I had planned a 10-episode arc,
right?
And intentionally, and if what we had planned for a 10-episode arc were actually occurring, then this next episode would be the big bang finale. But I think
it won't be a finale, but there's gonna be might be a big bang this episode.
Right. Yeah.
Judging by how episode 9 ended.
Yeah, but I think the nice thing is that now that we have a little bit more time, it allows us to let the players sort of steer the ship a little bit more, and we don't have to shoehorn you as much, or cattle prod you to get you to move it along.
Yeah.
And so you're actually, even with that being said, you're actually where we were expecting you to be in the general arc or progress. Like, how you got there was still going to be up to you, but like where you eventually got to, was, the heart of the dark wood. But I think the nice thing is we don't have to rush.
Right.
We can just provide motivation and then let the players, stay motivated and make their own choices. So I feel like we're on track.
That's awesome. I think this was something else that I wanted to talk about, because it sort of plays into some of the discussions that the cast has been having internally, and eternally perhaps too, which is kind of like checking in where everybody is sort of on our motivations. And I think Jessica, for instance, was asking me, she's like, why does Val care about saving Olivar? And I was like, oh, that's very simple. I was like, Olivar is the only person who seems to have any idea what they're here for, what the 5 of us are here for.
Sure.
And Val is still, as much as he cares about Otto and cares about Coco and cares about Saint and cares about Cristobal, as much as those relationships are growing, Val still just wants to get out of here. And we are flying blind, and we're especially flying blind if we don't have Olivar, and for a little bit we didn't have Cristobal. I think I even said it in the first half of this last week, where I was like, look, the 2 people who can most help us are Olivar and Cristobal. Cristobal can, because we got all these magic artifacts. We got the skull, we got the gauntlet, which we still haven't even looked at. Cristobal seems to have some idea what it does. I have no idea, but it seemed really powerful, right?
He doesn't.
Oh, he
doesn't have any idea.
No idea. No. Okay, but there was something about it that seemed more familiar to him.
He hasn't spent any time on it.
No, well, I mean, you laugh, but you can't blame yourself when the first time you cast Identify, that happened. You're scaring us away from these magic items.
Yeah, I didn't know that he was going to go for the skull first. I thought he was going to work his way up to it, but he jumped right to the head.
Which is kind of my fault, because I was the one going like, hey, this thing seems super powerful. Maybe we should get a look at this first.
Sometimes it's better to work your way up to the Mona Lisa and not not jump right to trying to dissect or recreate it.
It's just casting an Identify spell. What could go wrong? So I mean, it's still it's all still, it does feel very spur of the moment, but I think Val is just operating on instinct, where it's literally just like, but make no mistake, he has no idea what's going on. And we've gotten some clues, and I wanted to talk about this today too, is we had we didn't have even a second to sit with. Just Jules says, tell Adam to roll better. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
We didn't even have it.
Adam does not roll well. I'm just letting you all know.
That. We did a home game a couple of weeks ago, and Adam rolled terribly all day, and it doesn't matter if it was digital or physical. It was bad the whole time. No wonder he's playing a wizard.
Yeah, he's been that way. He's been that way ever since I've known him. So
that's why he's here. Fail Waffle says, I love that he rolls bad. It's the best. Of course it is.
Yeah, I told them to take Magic Missile. I was like, you got to take that spell, dude.
Just stop rolling. Just why roll? Yeah, well, and you also roll quite well, or at least you do now.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to roll like fairly average, but sometimes when I'm DMing for whatever reason, I just go on this spur of like Ron luck, and it gets gruesome quickly.
It was bizarre. I mean, as I think we said, Adam, when he has Blade Song and Shield, his AC is 20. As a wizard, that's crazy high. And it just didn't matter. It was just because you were like 23, 26, 24. And you're like, oh, God. Yeah. Got nasty fast, and he doesn't have a ton of hit points, so he can't take a lot of those hits. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see now that he's back from the mirror. It'll be really interesting to see how he decides to play Cristobal. Like, does he continue to take risks?
Yeah.
Does he have like, I feel like he can go one of two or three ways, but one route I could see him taking is I've already died once. What else do I possibly have to lose? Or the other side of that, which is I'm terrified.
I've got a second chance, and I'm terrified of losing it. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
and I think both are viable choices.
We have so many plates spinning right now, where one is sort of and Cristobal, even the moment when we tried to go, like, what happened? Are you okay? And he was like, later. And we're like, okay. But also
a lot happened.
Longest. I mean, that might have not counting Jessica's entire episodes where she was in the secret room. That might have been the longest single secret room. By the way, new Patreon perk now is if you're a patron, you need to let us know your Instagram handle, and we will make you a part of our close friends, where you can get glimpses of us behind the scenes. We're posting close friends Instagram videos on days of the show or around, just kind of showing you little behind the scenes stuff. And we posted a video during the secret room of me, Jess, Carrie, and Serena in the parking lot in back of the studio while the secret room was happening, because it was like a 45-minute secret room.
Could have been longer, could have been shorter. It all depended on his choices. Like, it could have been over real quick. Interesting.
But it was, so it's, we have so many plates spinning. We have what's going on with Cristobal. The dream that happened right before Olivar got soul sucked by the wasp, that was, correct me if I'm wrong, Frida's dream that was being shared with all of us. Was that exactly what was happening? We got an explanation, but it was very fast.
You're talking about the vision that you saw? Is that what you're referring to? The dream vision?
Yes. Yeah. It was, because it was the vision. It was a group vision that all of us saw.
Right.
And I think Frida gave a slight explanation where it was Frida's vision or Olivar's vision that Frida shared with all of us. What was the exact?
Are you talking about the ritual?
Yes.
That part?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes. So Frida essentially has the ability to tap into other people's dreams and visions. Mm-hmm. And then she can also invite people to those. Mm-hmm. So she's like a dream walker in sense.
Okay.
Yeah. So is your question, how did she do that? Or is your question?
So exactly what was, so it was a vision coming from whom? Based around the ritual.
Olivar.
Okay, got it.
Olivar.
That was yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So that vision, I think, was the single biggest clue we've had so far in terms of what is the overall grand scheme of what's happening. And yeah,
true, because you haven't seen any of the secret rooms that we've done with the Watchers.
Nope.
Yeah.
Of course not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
that actually tracks because you know less than the Watchers do.
so much less. Yeah. And really the characters are starting to, you know, I think some have more faith. Obviously, Saint has more faith and obviously, but there's definitely some questions of like are we gonna die, and like why? You know, we're not even really sure why. Besides just, you know, and I think Val is angry for, you know, as he should be, which is just because we're flying blind, as I said, and we're just kind of trying to stay alive, but what meanwhile we've been told nothing. And so what are we doing here? What are we even supposed to be doing? And because we're just guessing, you know, we've made guesses. It was like, okay, there is all this bad stuff happening, but like that is us just trying to pull meaning out of the static, right? Because
well, I mean, that's why Olivar is there.
Yes.
He's essentially the conduit for information.
But even he seemed pretty unsure about stuff. I mean, Olivar hasn't said, oh, it's clearly this. Olivar's like, maybe it's something like that. And we're like, what?
Yeah, because all of this information that he's interpreting is through his own lens. It's through his own, you know, view on life.
Yeah.
And he's a dedicated druid, and worshiper of Bahatha.
Pretty powerful druid.
Wide,
I mean,
wide variety of reasons.
Windwall's like a 5th level spell, something like that.
Well, his version was
exactly
also homebrewed. It was actually, well, it's actually more powerful than regular Windwall is.
Wow.
Yeah, regular Windwall does not affect spells, and this Windwall did.
Yeah. Little homebrewed, but it was cool.
Yeah. Well, my idea for Olivar is if you're a druid that is willing to commit yourself completely to the way of the poppy and peacefulness and non-aggression, then you should get bonuses to your magic and to your spells that would stop violence.
Interesting.
And Windwall is a great example of a spell that is very druidic-like, that stops people from harming other people or creatures from being harmed, that kind of thing.
Right.
And so that's why when I was going through his spell choices, you know, I immediately eliminated anything that did damage, but anything that didn't do damage, I increased in magnitude, in strength. And that's why Windwall was above and beyond what a regular Windwall could do.
That's very cool. I like that. Yeah. I think, the sort of, I continue to look forward to even just more, you know, you've smartly made it so it's literally like, you know, we couldn't just, Val could just say, forget this, and walk off, but also we're in such dangerous territory and survival that by doing so he would probably just be signing his death warrant. So that's been very clear to him from the beginning. It's like, well, what else am I going to do? Stay on this mountain and freeze to death? You know, it's there's literally almost no other choice. But
and that was by design.
Yeah,
that was
could
intentional.
Tell in a good way. Yes, that was well told in that way. But so he's also just kind of putting his head down and trying to just go moment to moment. But there is growing this weight of, do we even know that we're doing that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing? You know, it's just a guess. Which I think he has to look to Saint for some of that, because even though Saint's God, well, because who else? I mean, Olivar, yes, somewhat, and Frida, yes, somewhat, but Saint's God doesn't seem that communicative to her. But also he's like, what? Like, I need answers. You and I are friends, seemingly. So you got a God's ear? Let's talk. Like, because what is happening right now? But sorry.
I think that's. No, that's fine. I think that's the trick with clerics is you're not a warlock.
Yeah,
You don't have a patron.
right.
You don't get to communicate with the gods
It's less of a two-way
directly.
street.
Yeah. And the gods, when they send you an omen or a vision or a message, it's going to be through a filter because if you actually heard the real voice
Mm,
of your god, it would probably make your head explode, you know?
right.
Yeah.
Scanner
And
style.
that's the last thing that any god would want to do is to accidentally destroy a bunch of their worshipers. I mean, maybe an evil god would want to do that, but I would assume, neutral and good gods would want to keep you around. And so that's why a lot of the messages, it's funny, a lot of the messages that Ron and I have sort of sent towards the group or sent your direction have either been completely missed or misinterpreted. And we talked about it and we were like, well, that kind of makes sense. It's kind of realistic, which is a weird term to use in a fantasy game, but it's kind of realistic that if a god was trying to communicate a message to its followers, but run it through a filter so that it didn't destroy the mind of the follower, it might get misinterpreted or it might get missed completely.
For sure.
And so there have been clues
Yeah,
that we've planted in places
definitely.
and they've just been missed,
I mean,
or forgotten.
I don't know if they've always been missed. I think a lot of time, and part of it is, I have noticed things that maybe Val wouldn't have noticed, or stuff like that. Sometimes you're just sort of like, the clue on its own may not tell you much, but then you, but you're still waiting for. It's like you just have the one jigsaw puzzle piece, but I don't have any of the edges and I don't have the picture of what I'm supposed to be making. So I'm just going to hold
Let
this
me give
piece
you an
for now.
example.
Just going to hold this piece for
Yeah.
now. And I don't know
Let
what
me
it
give you
means.
an example without giving too much away.
Please.
There are items that you all have picked up
Mm-hmm.
that aren't even necessarily magical items
Mm-hmm.
that no one has even looked at.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
There's literally a piece of paper with a message on it that I've handed over to Adam, and I said, "You found this," and he hasn't even brought it up, and he hasn't even looked at it.
Interesting. I don't remember that.
So when the moment with the skull happened,
Shut up, fail off.
absolutely, I had
I'm the fighter of the group.
That's true. To Morgan's credit, he's not James this time. So
Yeah.
maybe Val's not a reader.
I mean, he's a 12 intelligence, and he is proficient in history because he did go to school, but
True.
he's just not a particularly good student.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to give too much away. So
No, please
we
don't.
should probably move to a question.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's just all in all, though. I'm loving kind of all the pieces, and I'm loving seeing it sort of come together, and I love having the clues. And I did, of course, figure out. I was like, okay, I do think the audience knows a lot more than we do, but it's hard to tell exactly what. And
They know a lot more than you guys do.
Great.
Like the first secret room we did for the Watchers was like, here's what's happening.
Wow.
Period.
I mean, and that came through in the vision because as I called it out on the Discord, the Watchers of the Time stream were in the vision.
Yeah.
Ron pretty much, I forget exactly how they were described, but
well, they're Watchers, so they're looking on
Yeah.
as these different deities argue with one another.
And this sort of nature versus cosmos side, or at least that's what it seemed to be, because we also said it's sort of like we don't really have, that I know of, a clear identification of what the cosmos side is, but now we've seen this two-headed dragon. And again, you've even said, so I don't think this is, but like the importance of the dichotomy of things. is super important to you guys and to the theme of this campaign. And so again, two-headed thing, this nature versus cosmos, like all of that, I'm pulling it all together, but I'm missing big connectors and spots for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, we spent how many episodes in season 1 before we knew anything at all? Like, we had been a part of weird, bizarre visions that involved the Wardens,
right?
But we didn't know how that fit into the rest of the world, or how that even affected us.
Right.
You
That's
know?
absolutely true. Yeah. I mean, episode 6 in campaign 1 was a massive clue, though. Even still, by the end, it was unsure. And and then
are the Wardens good? Are the Wardens bad?
Right.
I mean, we still didn't even know that by the end of the show.
Well, and I think that's part of the question is,
Yeah.
they maybe were trying to be good, though the reason that brought them about in the first place was kind of sketchy. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
the logic behind it. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Ryan Winters, I wonder what the DM notes look like for you and Ron. I imagine there's a what if we insert a chicken as an important NPC crossed out. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. He's just saying, like,
okay.
We probably have ideas of like how to plant, information or messages, and then crossed out our idea and come up with something completely different. Yes.
Got it.
Yes, there's a lot of that, Ryan.
What's the other? We've got another couple Patreon questions. Let's get to a couple of those.
Yeah. You also need to remind everyone about
we're going to talk about
Patreon perks.
Say, if you missed out on our Patreon, hey, Thero, what's up? It's nice to see you. But yeah, we announced new Patreon perks last week that we're super excited about, including, as we mentioned, the behind the scenes stuff on our Instagram, the free digital items for higher tier levels, and also I'm going to be DMing a game for patrons only, and we're super excited about it. I'm incredibly excited. I posted more details on our Patreon on Saturday, and I'm going to be putting some more stuff up this week. Thanks, Fail Waffle. Whoop whoop.
We actually have a question about that.
Sure. Do we want to save that for the end, or do we want to? I mean, yeah, we can jump to that real fast.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay,
we're talking about it.
Sure.
How is the monthly Patreon D&D sessions going to be stitched together as one story if each month different random Patreon's players play different characters?
Yeah, so this is how, basically, if you are of a certain tier on our Patreon, we are going to draw 5 players every month. And then basically you will create our characters and be the members of the story for that month. How I'm intending it is I would like it very much to feel like a larger group of adventurers who maybe go off to certain places and there is a larger adventure. It is a campaign. It's not going to be a series of one-shots. So I think they're all going to be intertwined in ways that you won't expect. I see it as, this is very unfamily friendly, but the show Deadwood is one of my favorite of all time. And so if there is a town where all of these characters can know each other or might know each other or are involved in different ways around, and then it grows off in those directions, that's sort of the basis of it. So that's how I plan to now there might be some more magical, like there might like we did with Fortune and Fate, where there's literally like portals sometimes. There might be some more magical explanations if someone is like drawn in or pulled out or something. But it is going to be a fun challenge for me to insert and extract people from different parts of the story depending on who's playing. It's something I'm really looking forward to, and I think with fantasy, with magic, but also with kind of ensemble storytelling, I'm really looking forward to that. And we are, Fail Waffle and I have already talked about it, we are going to do a Discord channel for the game, so everybody can kind of go in between sessions, exchange notes, talk about what happened, and
that's fun.
Yeah, and I'll post updates on stuff at that. It is still fantasy. It is not specifically set in Ain, but as I've said, I think you're going to notice some very similar. Familiar themes and familiar possible story elements. I am calling it kind of a ancillary text. It is dungeon run on the side. It is very much going to feel like the dungeon run. I wouldn't do it any other way. And I want you guys, I want us to come together as this, this is our favorite style. So this is kind of what we want to do. So I think I'll surprise you. But yes, it
The
is still
salvage
fantasy.
manders, the
That's
salvage manders will be the main villains in the
oh
story.
no.
That's my prediction.
That's right. Episode
They
1, kill the salvage
Yeah.
vendors.
Yeah. They've
No.
turned.
The
And now instead of recycling junk, they're recycling people.
body parts.
Yeah.
Gross. Oh man, a salvage mander necromancer.
Yeah.
Uncle CW says the dungeon jog, and Ryan Winter says the dungeon casual power walk. I like that one. That's a good one. But yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it, and I want to. They're going to be second level characters to start, and then yeah, I'm really looking forward to kind of putting this all together. I've been working hard at it, and I'm going to post some more stuff about it soon. Salvage
think it'll be great.
Mancer, Elliot. Well done,
Yeah.
Salvage Mancer. I like that. It's a good one.
So, Morgan, if people want to get in on that game, what do they need to do?
You need to be of the tiers of Force of Nature, Force of Cosmos on Patreon, and then I'm going to announce because we started in September, but we weren't able to get the first game going in September. I'm going to do 2 games in October. So I'm going to be announcing the dates for the first game, and I've already drawn the 5 players. I haven't let them know yet, but I'm going to be reaching out to them, and then depending, it's going to be kind of a drawing, and then it's like if you're available. If you're not available, we'll redraw, but then it's kind of, and then I don't want any repeats. And now if you want to opt out, of course you can opt out, but we're going to do no repeats until everybody's at least had a chance. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So
Dig it.
get it on it. I'm posting all of those. So everything I posted so far, I think is available for all patrons to see. But if you want to be a player, you have to be of a certain tier.
Okay.
But yeah, some amazing stuff. But I'm so excited, and lots more on that coming soon.
Yeah.
Let's get back to story stuff.
Questions?
Yes.
Yeah. So, Idaho Judd, what part of being a game master is most challenging for you? And Morgan, you can answer that as well.
Please.
And what do you think some game masters put too much emphasis on?
You first.
What is the most challenging for me? Not killing the player characters. No.
You really
No.
You really lean into your Jared Kajak cliches. Jared's a stone cold killer, folks.
Yeah. No, I think the most challenging thing as a game master, or the thing that I always remind myself of, it's not necessarily the most challenging, it's just the most important thing.
Sure.
That I always say to myself before and after the show is, did everyone have fun? Because if everybody had fun, including me,
right,
if everybody had fun, then it was a success.
Yeah.
Regardless of how the game turned out, and if they beat the big bad, or if they, found the magic item, or got hit by the trap, or the story, blossomed into something beautiful. Regardless of any of those things, if everybody had a good time, then it's a win. It's a win-win situation.
That was something that Sly Flourish, that Mike Shea, that we had our lovely last arcane artistry with, was so great about, which is like kind of giving up on, maybe not giving up on, but having a much looser idea of your expectations going into it. If you go in with a rigid expectation, then it's the same as a player. But if you go into the rigid expectation of this is going to happen this session, then that you can lose sight of like fun or improvisation or anything like that. It's the same with being a player, where it's like, oh, I didn't succeed on my rolls, therefore I had a bad session. I was like, who cares? Did you have fun? Did you tell a good story?
Yeah.
Then that's the important part.
Yeah. Adam has fun, and he rolls terribly all the time.
Rolls terribly all the time. I rolled terribly for a couple sessions. I was worried my new beautiful Die Hard dice box was cursed. It's not. It's fine. I love Die Hard dice. Thank you, Die Hard dice. No, it's great.
I think to answer the question directly, something that I struggle with as a dungeon master is, I'm a planner. I like to think things through. I like to take a bunch of notes. And something, you just made me think of this because you mentioned Sly Flourish, something that he really hammers down on, and I agree with, is you only really need to prepare for what your players are actually going to encounter and what they're actually going to do.
Sure.
And that's tough because you don't necessarily know which direction they're going to go or which choices they're going to make. And they might go do something completely crazy and bizarre and off and left field. But I used to be one of those dungeon masters that would be like, I knew every single item in the shop. So if you walked into that shop and you said, what do you have? I could hand you a list of everything that was in that shop.
Right.
As opposed to turning to the player and said, well, what do you want?
Right.
What are you looking for?
Right.
Because you do all that work and come up with the price list and, how everything trades and functions and special items and all that jazz. And then maybe they buy 2 things from that list.
Right.
Yeah.
And
you really want to hyper focus on just what you need and fleshing out those bits and not trying to, reinvent the wheel.
I always try something I've learned when it comes to shops. I always try to toss in a couple magic items to every shop. And I will often just pick them at random. I won't, maybe if I'm feeling crazy, there'll be like a super powerful one. Not really, but like most of the time it's just like, yeah, there's an alchemy jug for sale in there. What's that? Oh, what's an alchemy jug? Like, it's fun, and because it's yes, there's all the adventuring gear and the normal stuff. Yeah, you can get that all the time, but also, you like to toss in a little fun chaos every now and then. And I especially like the magic items that, upon first glance, you have no idea what you would use them for. And those are the fun ones.
Decanter of endless water.
Decanter of endless water, which saved our lives multiple times. Yes.
Yeah, it's such a fun item.
Exactly.
I like magical items that, A, have a story, but and B, fit into the story. But I also love magical items that add to the creativity as opposed to just,
it's a +1 sword.
Powerful, or this is nasty.
Right.
Yeah, this is going to do more damage, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think my weakness as a DM, I've said this before, I still need to get better at keeping my NPCs organized. I will often tend on fewer NPCs because I am definitely the guy who's like, oh, who's that person? How did they sound? I have no idea.
Yeah.
I oftentimes will bite off more than I can chew sometimes with my NPCs because you want to make fun, memorable NPCs, and then you're like, you just did 5 completely different voices, and are you going to remember all of them? I'm like, oh, jeez. Yeah, it's hard.
And Ron loves multiple NPCs. He loves to put a lot of NPCs into stuff, I'm more minimalistic.
Sure.
Yeah. But what that's ended up doing is it's kind of pushed me to have more NPCs and more people to interact with. Mm-hmm. And it's also kind of toned him down a little bit to where I'm like, well, what purpose does this NPC serve? Because if they're just background, then let's just leave them in the background. But if they serve a distinct purpose in the story, then great, let's do it.
And then if there's just a rando who you didn't plan at all, then it's just improv, and sometimes those are the most fun.
those are the characters that stick around for 5 games.
Correct. Yeah. What was the second half of that question?
Second half is, what do you think some dungeon masters put too much emphasis on?
Yeah. By the way, who else? Elliot says, I assign my NPCs an actor or character. You can tell Jeff Kanata did that too.
Oh, yeah.
Dondo Carregana was 100% Sean Connery. Conroy Tighe was 100% Liam Neeson. They are headcanon. Like, exactly who we were talking to. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So, wait. So, the question was what again?
What do you think some dungeon masters put too much emphasis on?
I mean, you can tell what every dungeon, like, different dungeon masters have different strengths. So, sometimes some dungeon masters, I probably include myself in this, are sometimes worried that every NPC has a completely different voice, sometimes a completely different accent, all that stuff. And you can lose yourself a little bit in that. Jeff Seidman, my good friend who was our DM for Fear Initiative, who's an incredible talented guy and a really great DM, his NPC, he had about 3 NPC voices. The dude, but he was a great storyteller. Like, he's really good, and boy, created creepy scenario after creepy scenario. But the guy had it. But his strength, like, he was a great writer, more than probably and he'll say this. He's like, I'm not an actor.
So wait, I gotta know what are the 3 voices? What are his 3?
There was the kind of drunk, what's up? You know, like that kind of, the town commoner sort of, I don't care.
Right.
You know, like that guy.
Yeah.
There was the the nice sort of, oh yes, the shopkeeper. Oh, happy to, yes, of course. Right. And then the third was the evil one. Yeah, that was it was basically his 3 voices.
Right. So the drunk, the nice shop owner, and the evil one.
And the evil one.
You know what would be fun is if he starts messing with you and you go into the shopkeeper. Hello. And the shopkeeper has the evil voice.
That's right. Welcome to my shop.
And the town drunk is just really happy to meet you and wants to help you out. But he's a drunk.
They smell like booze.
So, yeah.
That's so true. Yeah. What about you? I mean, it's a tough question. What do some DMs put too much emphasis on? Yeah.
So here's my thought process on that, and it's something I've actually thought a fair amount about. Is I think most dungeon masters forget that their players are the protagonists. They're the primary characters, or they're the villains, depending if you're running a heroes or villain campaign. Mm-hmm. But what a lot of, I think, dungeon masters get trapped into spending a lot of time on is, here's my world, here's my story, here's what I want to have happen. Mm-hmm. No matter what, this is what's going to happen. And then these wild cards get inserted into that. These player characters that you have no control over, that are supposed to be the main primary characters, and they get injected into your neatly, scripted world and completely destroy anything that you had planned or any ideas that you wanted to put forth. And so it's not that dungeon masters put too much emphasis on like building their world or building their story. It's they just
don't leave enough room.
Yeah, they don't leave the room, but enough room, but they also don't ask themselves, well, who are my players?
Yeah.
What kind of a game do they want? Yeah. What are they most interested in? And it actually took me the better part of 2 episodes to figure out what in this season, what this motley crew is all about.
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of a group are you guys?
Yeah.
And what kind of a game do you enjoy doing? It's like in season 1, we had that reoccurring joke where, we were, what is it? 80% costumes, 10% names,
that's right.
0% plan,
that's
or
right.
90%, 10%, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's true because that was the kind of group that we were.
Right.
We weren't the kick in the door and kill everyone kind of group. We were the, let's think about how we're going to trick our way into this scenario so that we have the advantage.
Correct.
And sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. But that was the kind of story that we wanted to, that was the kind of group that we were, and that was the kind of story that we wanted to tell.
It's true. I think I talked about this a little bit, is this dynamic of this party is so fascinating because I think Val, in a way, feels like Val could have been a very different character in another party.
He was. If you look at Val at the top of episode 1 versus Val now, you've already changed a lot. I think everybody does. I think people are trying to figure out, what is this character? Who is this character? How do I fit into this group?
Right. And it's funny because...
Thank you, Uncle CW.
Thank you so much. Seeing those gift subs. Thank you. And seeing watching Val's session 0, and whenever Val had his moment of I'm angry. Why aren't you angry? This sucks. it was funny because we were all coming to it from such different places, and so to Coco and Otto, they're like, "Yikes! What is this guy's deal?" And it's like, you don't know what I've been through. Like, I've been through it. It was the worst day of my life, and then I just got yanked out. Now, but he could have been very secretive or very, very withholding, but because he has these kind of open-hearted, wonderful, like who are just like already like all in on being his friend, I think at a certain point I just had to go like, yeah, what am I holding back for? You know, like, yeah, this is, I'm sorry if I've been mean, but things are not good for me. You know, like, it's kind of that weird part. It's you know, and in a different party, you know, if it was a party full of Civ and Uggos, I don't think he would have come out like that, you know? There's nothing against Civ and Uggo, but it would have been a very different... But I think our parties...
Well, Ron and I have actually had that exact conversation where we were like, there is no Civ and there is no Uggo in this group. So we have to let that go. And we have to go, well, what is in this group?
Val is...
What does motivate them and what does get them to, you know, to move forward in the plot?
Val is closest to a Civ, probably. Otto is weirdly maybe the closest to our Fahima, though Otto and Coco both have a little bit of Fahima in them. Because what I mean is, and this is the other funny part, is Otto is all warmth and innocence and then utterly savage in battle. Like, Otto will straight up murk you and walk away and be fine with it. And it's one of the things I love about them. You know, little Otto is very excited to be the best soldier, and it's wonderful and amazing, but it's one of those things we're still figuring out. We're running low on time, and I can't believe I haven't brought up one of the biggest aspects of the last episode, because I don't know how much you can tell us, but we need to talk about Failshin.
Okay. What do you want to know?
I mean, this character that Morgan and Val, there are moments where I feel like I'm metagaming and then moments when I don't. And Morgan and Val were united on the, like, yikes.
Yeah.
Like,
well, to be fair,
this guy, yikes.
Yeah, to be fair, the watchers in this instance know less than the players do, because Failshin was actually an NPC that we used, Ron and I used when we did
one of our practice games.
Yes, the practice game to get ready for season 2.
It was again, it was a non-canon adventure, so the characters don't technically know, but it is this, and regardless, it's this character strolling, whistling, like without a care in the world, walking through a very dangerous part of the forest on the back of a woolly mammoth. And then once they start to pull out these items, you're like, oh crap, like, this guy's legit and has extremely powerful stuff in there. There was just
you have no idea. He had stuff that was so far above and beyond what you guys saw. I was pleasantly, let me put it to you this way. I was pleasantly surprised how easy it was to acquire what I wanted to acquire without having to give up very much for it.
Oh my God. Talk about plate spinning. Talk like some of the other plates, whatever's going on with Coco and the Feywild.
Yeah,
we definitely had a moment. We definitely had a moment where the rest of the cast looked at Carrie and were like, "Are you gonna plant those worms? like, you're gonna get us killed? Like, are you gonna plant those worms?" Because again, we have no idea what the background is on them, but we're like, "What? You apparently somebody's applying some heat. You might want to plant those worms." She's like, "Yeah, I'll work on it." And we're like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, maybe." We're like, "What do you mean, maybe?"
That was a huge part of her session 0.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, that was like half of her session 0.
But I don't blame her for almost like forgetting, or not seeming, maybe she forgot about it, maybe she didn't, where it was just sort of like that, because again, the first 3 episodes were just pure survival and pure just like stay alive, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive. Yeah, man, so funny.
Yeah.
But I don't like all these trades. I'm terrified of all of these
Yeah.
trades.
I mean, that's essentially what the whole episode was a series of negotiations.
Don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't like it. I'm not a fan. I don't know what
Yeah.
we gave up. Saint gave up some hair, and Otto gave up some feathers, and we gave
Yeah.
some gold and a couple other random things. But those were
Correct.
the biggest ones. Was Saint gave up some
Yeah.
Saint gave up some hair, Otto gave up some feathers.
Yeah.
Not a
Oh
fan.
yeah.
Not.
And it's duly noted.
I'm sure it is, and I'm worried.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And you don't even know what Cristobal gave up.
Nope. Yeah, we
Yeah.
need, hopefully, well, God, and then so the episode ended with Coco on the back of Hanolo charging right into the hive or whatever it is. We're not sure, seemingly.
The heart, yeah, yeah. You're going towards the heart of the dark woods.
And we need one of those bees alive, and so, or at least we think we do. And
Right.
yeah, Marge Thornhill, Jessica giving up blood in campaign 1 and now hair. Blood, hair, saliva, all of it. Whatever they need, Jessica's down. Yeah, and so we're gonna dive right into it, but as soon as things calm down, assuming we're all okay, we got some discussions to figure out.
Yeah, Adam keeps talking about, when you guys have more downtime and when he's got a moment to look at the stuff and what have you. And I was
we've had some time.
You had some time. You definitely had time when you were floating on the iceberg going down the river.
Yep.
There was a lot of time there.
Yep.
And not a lot of investigation in the stuff that you have.
Also, but I can't blame him for being a little scared to do it, as we said earlier.
Yeah.
Drew from IT says, this is how lumpy clones happen.
half-baked clones.
Half-baked clones. Oh my
so
goodness.
let me get to this question.
Yes.
Before we run out
sorry,
of
I didn't
time.
realize we had one left.
Yeah, Tim Pollard, did you expect Cristobal to be brought back so soon? And if anyone else had died and got sucked into the mirror, would they have had a similar experience? So I'm going to let you answer part 1 and I'll answer part 2.
Oh gosh.
Did you expect Cristobal to come back so quickly?
No, I did not. Now I had a sense that there was going to be a way to bring back Cristobal. The pine cone.
Right.
I was the magic pine cone. I was not expecting, certainly.
Right.
We were working on a complex plan about how to do all of this next part of the adventure without Cristobal, though. The cast was, so we certainly did not expect it to be that kind of like, oh, we can do that, great, that was a surprise to me.
I plugged in a couple of ways to get Cristobal to come back. I didn't expect people to just so quickly say yes.
Again, it's this party. I mean, you've got Saint and Otto and Coco, who are all, I mean, they're the opposite of cynical, but they're kind of like
optimistic.
What does my friend need? Okay, here. It's hair. Yeah, I got plenty of it. Take it.
Sure.
Which is lovely in a non-metagamey way. I mean, right. Jessica probably knows, oh boy, what am I doing? But Saint is like, what does my friend need? Sure. Hair? Sure. Take it.
Right.
Yeah. That's a very beautifully non-metagamey decision, I think.
Yeah, and not that you would know this, but
careful.
Adam's choices in the mirror also kind of, they didn't catch me off guard. I was just surprised that he got to the decision as quickly as he did, and I was surprised that he answered in the affirmative so quickly.
Interesting.
So
don't
again,
know what that means.
The negotiation that you guys had with Failshin went much quicker than I expected, because it wasn't really a negotiation. It was just like, sure, you want that? Okay, fine, here.
Yeah.
And in Cristobal's scenario, it was the same thing. Oh, you want that? Okay, fine, I'll do it. Great.
When the stakes are so high,
and then that's why he came back so quickly.
Right.
Is because the group as a whole was just like, whatever it takes.
I mean, Val was suspicious. Val is worried and was worried as it was happening, but it did happen so fast and couldn't deny that it was going to help us immediately that Val didn't feel right going stop, because I was like, oh man, I don't know, but Val is worried, for sure.
Yeah, I didn't hear Val speak up when it came to handing over body parts.
Oh no, he stayed quiet. He was just it was all happening so fast, and everyone else was so willing. It was like there was definitely a moment, I don't know about this, and then it was like, nope, here you go. Oh god, okay, all right, well, that's already happened.
Yeah.
And at the
The answer. Yeah, go ahead.
No, at the end of the day, it's still just I don't know, and I can't deny that it won't help us in the immediate. So
yeah, I mean, it definitely is going to help you in the immediate. You're all fully healed.
We're here,
and back from the dead. So yeah. I guess the back end of the trade we'll have to find out at a later date.
Great. Is that all the questions?
The second part.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, the second part of that is, if anyone else had died and got sucked into the mirror, would they have had a similar experience? So,
would anyone else have gotten sucked into the mirror?
No. If somebody else had died, they definitely would not have been sucked into the mirror. But
I wondered.
But, and this is key, I did have a plan of what would happen if a player did something crazy to try to get sucked into the mirror while still alive.
Wow.
I did have a plan for how that was going to work out. It
feels like with these magic items, with the mirror, the skull, and the gauntlet, to some extent that we don't really know what the gauntlet does, these really powerful magic items, and what happened is sort of the repercussions of our decisions. What happened with the skull immediately, we're all sort of like, don't touch it. we're all like, kind of like, I don't know, let's just be careful and let's not touch it. So we have, and we may have the tools of our salvation like literally sitting in our bag, and we're just sort of, we're all scared by it, which again feels pretty realistic, because these are terrifying and bad things happened the last time we did it. And so we're like, I don't know. I think you and I was talking to you and Ron at one point where it was like, depending on what you guys do with the mirror, and I'm like, given our recent history with magic items, I don't think we're gonna touch the mirror. Like we're gonna put it away and protect it, and maybe we'll use it. Hopefully we can use it to save Cristobal, but like, we're not just gonna go, mirror, what's happening? We're not gonna do that because we're scared. Yeah, you have instilled a fair amount of fear into us.
I mean, that's good, because they are incredibly powerful.
That is
relics.
Clear. That is crystal clear. Yep. Yeah. I think that's all our questions. It's 1:05. We do need to run, but there's so many amazing things. As we said, episode 10 coming on Wednesday. Can't wait. Big times. Ron will be back. And check out the Patreon. As we said, we're offering some great new perks and some really cool stuff as well. I posted a very big cast secret about a little over a week ago. So I given away some big stuff. So get on that when you can. But we love you guys. Have a wonderful Monday, and we'll see you Wednesday night. Anything I'm missing, Jared?
No, I think we covered it.
All right. Have a good week, folks. Good stuff ahead. And until that time, humankind, be both.
Be both.
Bye.
Mwah.